2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You know, sometimes there is just fake news you can't get away from. I know there's a lot of fake news out there. There's a lot of craziness out there today. There's a lot of people just say, Andy, the election's over. It's all done. Don't even worry about it any longer. I mean, and we can deal with that. It's an ongoing battle. I get it. We can fight that. But I tell you what, there are some pieces of fake news you just can't get away from. And of course, I'm talking about the Yahoo News story that said, according to German courts, they have declared technically that techno music is actual music. According to the German, I mean, this is a news story. I don't know why this is even news, but apparently it is. So according to Yahoo News, German's Federal Fiscal Court, BFH, agreed with plaintiffs, including Berlin's legendary Burgan Club, said that they should not have to pay the standard 19% VAT on ticket sales when concert venues enjoy a lower rate of 7%, because the techno clubs were paying at a higher percent tax than the actual music concert venues, and therefore they challenged it in court, and they had to confirm that techno is legitimately a version of music, and therefore they have to pay the lower rates as if a concert venue would have to pay. I'm not joking. I'm telling you. The world is definitely a crazy place. Welcome into the program, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. No matter where you may be watching or listening, we do have the live streams up on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Parler.com, the new one, as we are growing. It's so funny. So we started doing the live stream on Parler, and we are getting just as many, if not more, hits and views on the video stream for Parler than we are on Facebook and Twitter every day. So that's awesome. And we have like maybe an eighth of the following on there because we just started it. I mean, I've had it for a while, but I haven't really pushed it. Haven't done a whole lot with it. Then I found out I could live stream on it. So we have that up. You can visit us on Parler or any of the social media sites. At Hooser Reason is our handle. At Hooser Reason, Hooser Reason. You can also find us online at HooserReason.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. We have a big show planned for you today. We have the latest when it comes to the elections, obviously. So we have Alaska that was officially called for President Donald Trump and Lisa Murkowski for the Senate seat up there. Why it took them so long, I'm not sure. Trump was leading by like 60-40 up there, but they just finally called it a week later, so thanks to that one, guys. We appreciate that very much. We have the legal issues going on in Wisconsin now, and Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and Georgia, and Arizona, and Nevada. And it sounds like if the rumors are true with all the potential voter fraud going on in all of those, Donald Trump could potentially swing all 5 of those swing states back to his side and win the election. While at the same time, you have the media still saying, why is Donald Trump being a sore loser? And it's giving us a bad rep. In fact, they even tried to run a story saying that Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, which I thought him and Trump were good buddies, Boris Johnson came out and said that Donald Trump needs to go away. He lost the election. And he said, according to the quote, and I believe it was another Yahoo News story, it was quote-unquote refreshing to talk to President-elect Joe Biden. Now, first off, reminder, he's not president-elect yet. The Electoral College has not voted. They won't vote until December 14th, and we have litigation going on that could probably swing many votes the other direction. So we'll give you the update on the latest of those. And now we are still ahead in the U.S. Senate. We will have a majority. We do have a majority in the Senate. It's just how much of a majority, depending on the runoff Senate seats, both of them, that will be happening in the state of Georgia. So we'll get to all that here in just a little bit as well. Plus, I got an email from a listener / old friend that I've been friends with for a long time. And there's some troubling news stirring out there that I want to read. It's a long email. I won't be able to read the whole thing, but it talks about what the progressives really want to do if Joe Biden does end up getting in there and Democrats continue to run the House and even potentially try to flip the Senate, which is impossible anymore now because we've hit our 50 mark. But I want to read the email because we talk about it as a fear tactic. Oh, the progressive socialism thing's going to happen. It's really scary. But when you actually read the email of what they're planning to do and their time frame of doing it, it kind of puts it in a little bit different perspective. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit as well. But first, I want to swing over and talk about what's trending. What do you say?
What's trending today?
What's trending today is if we do have a change in administration, if we do go into 2021 with COVID maybe getting behind us a little bit as we talk about a vaccine that's out there, potentially 90% success rate on it, they're saying that if we all take this vaccine or we all wear the masks or we do whatever, that by springtime we could start getting back to normal. Whatever the case is, between administrations, whether we have the same administration or a different administration,
there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
I still love that from Mike Pompeo yesterday during his press briefing. I think that's hilarious. But regardless of what's going to happen, what could 2021 look like when it comes to trade, when it comes to international trade, when it comes to businesses in the country, or even the tariffs? Donald Trump has been very much so on the, I want to punish the other companies and make trade fair, which I get. But then he imposes all the tariffs, which I understand it, don't necessarily like it, but understand it. But it's really kind of thrown a wrench into the system for a lot of the businesses nationwide. So I want to talk about that and more with a great friend, and you know her very well here on the program. We've had her on the show many times, and we're going to continue to have a relatively frequent visit here on the program. Karyn Page from the Kansas Global Trade Services here on the Voice of Reason. Karyn, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Andy. How are you?
I am living the dream. It's good to talk to you again. Happy post-election. Are you guys slowly recovering-ish?
I feel a little bit bad to say this, but, my area of expertise is international trade, and it's mostly apolitical. So I get to kind of sit back and watch, and then, we get to guess about what, we need to advise companies. But, aside from, just my own vote, not a huge impact over here. Just waiting for some certainty so that we can take steps to move forward.
Yeah, that is very true. And that's really the big question now is, are we going to get that certainty? Right now, we may not know the actual official vote for the presidency until after December 14th. So we have about a month left until the Electoral College actually votes. Does that mean right now, with many trade that we're doing with many companies all over the country, does that mean really we're just kind of floating for uncertainty until we actually know what's going on?
Well, I think we do have the certainty. The Trump administration, President Trump is still the president, and he's in the White House. And all the trade policies that he's enacted remain there. We still have USMCA. We still have the tariffs that we, love and hate. So I think that, we have that level of certainty. I think that, for businesses, when you're looking at, and you can see that evidence come through on, the stock market, what's happening, whether it goes up or down, what the kind of certainty we're looking for is, what changes can we anticipate, right? And then what do we do as businesses? So, but I just want to make sure that, that your listeners know that there is certainty in terms of trade policy because President Trump is still in the Oval Office, and that still stands. All those policies still there.
Sure. So the big question is, if we do end up doing a transition to a President Joe Biden, then we could see some of those change, but it's not going to happen until really maybe springtime as he gets inaugurated into January. Then we start working on policy changes. And I know they always had that session where they can start signing executive orders, getting rid of former executive orders from different administrations. And again, this is all speculation, but if we do end up start seeing some changes in trade or in tariff policy, that's not going to happen until maybe next year, so businesses can start planning appropriately.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And I've lived through a few transitions, and usually there's a 9 to 12 month lag as they have other priorities and they get to trade eventually. I don't think we're going to see that long of a lag this time. Trade is just so prominent in the global conversation, and I think that that allows not only companies some time to prepare, but also just some time to look for opportunities. So not just prepare for what their reaction is, but they can actually be proactive as well.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, at least they can take some of those proactive steps. Let's talk about some of the changes that could potentially happen if Joe Biden does get into the presidency and he wants to start working differently with different companies or different countries with different trade policy with the tariffs. What could we see as changes? Do you think some of the tariffs will go away? Do you think they'll get higher? And looking at different regions of the world, I mean, what could we see as potential changes from what we're doing right now?
So on the tariffs, I think for sure he's still going to take a hard line with China. So I don't think we're going to see that go away. I think he'll be very cautious on getting rid of any of the other tariffs just because maybe he has some other priorities. I think an interesting thing might be a focus on what I would call diplomatic or humanitarian kind of programs. So think about energy programs or clean water programs that he may roll in with State Department and trade together. And those could pose some opportunities for American companies. So, for example, what if the Biden administration does come into the Oval Office and he says, you know what, we want to re-engage on climate change. Well, there may be some programs that they also initiate that allow opportunities for renewable energy or clean water or any number of things around that. And American companies are great at providing those solutions. So those could be opportunities we could be looking for.
Where do we fall? I'm glad you brought that up, by the way. We're talking with Karyn Page with the Kansas Global Trade Services. You can visit them online, kansasglobal.org. Where do we fall in the world when it comes to maybe renewable resources, some of the green products, the climate change mentality? I know we pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord that caused some ruckus on the other side of the political aisle. But when it comes to the renewable energy, solar panels, wind power, geothermal, when it comes to maybe the nuclear power, different countries, I know France uses a lot of nuclear power. We don't use a whole lot of that. But when it comes to kind of slowly steering away from renewable or from something like oil, are we at the top of the tier still worldwide, or are we kind of falling behind on some of that stuff?
I think that there's a difference between what we do in policy in the U.S. and what our companies are capable of offering in terms of solutions. So when you look at renewable energy or clean water, I mean, American companies are providing the best solutions in the world. Honestly, a company doesn't necessarily care about policy, only in terms of what it can do to provide a solution. So, I'm hopeful that whatever the policy is, whoever's in the Oval Office, that American companies will respond and really gain some benefit from that.
Well, and that's kind of the great innovation that we have in the country, isn't it, with free markets, is that the businesses can work to adapt to make things run more efficiently and create new products where even if it's not mandated by the government, it's out there as available for the consumer.
Exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of a free market is companies are going to innovate because it's in their best interest to do so. And then regarding policy, they're going to go where the policy makes sense for them to sell their innovation.
What a
cool
wild
thing.
concept. Yeah, it's a cool thing. What a wild concept for something like that to happen, which is what we absolutely love about the capitalist system. And then, of course, the other ones that try to impose it and force it when it's not quite ready is where we have some concerns. Let's go ahead and take a break here real quick. Karyn Page with the Kansas Global Trade Services. You can find them online, kansasglobal.org. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the economic recovery and concerns as we go into maybe phase 2 or 3 or wherever we're at with COVID-19, as we see the hospitals filling up all over the nation. We see the skyrocketing number of cases and a potential vaccine that's coming out. Where are we at when it comes to the economic recovery and businesses surviving with some of this? We'll talk to Karyn about some of that and more. Plus, I want to get your thoughts. You can always email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. We have a lot to get to today in such a short amount of time. That's what we do right here on a Wednesday episode of The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at Hoosier Reason. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners, and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into it. Thanks for hanging out with us today. It's a Wednesday, the pre-Friday, the post Monday, trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the Millennial Generation 1 radio listener at a time, your Millennial General, reporting for duty. I love it. You can find us all over social media, radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. We're talking with Karyn Page, Kansas Global Trade Services, as we talk about the economy, international trade, and tariffs. It's involved in politics, unfortunately, but luckily it's not always involved in politics. So you need to be aware of the political issues to know the ways to do it appropriately, but then you can manage and hopefully be able to be smarter than the average politician. See what we did there? See, that was kind of funny. And here's the big question, Karyn. I'm assuming most business owners are smarter than the average politician, right?
No comment.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about COVID. I know we talk about this every time you come on, but we're getting to the point now where we see it all over the nation. You know, they say the hospitals are filling up, the ICU beds are filling up. We have more cases than ever before. We're about ready to shut things down again from what everybody says. And if that happens, we could be seeing another dramatic effect on the economy and small business and international business as well. Where are we at right now? And from your feeling that you've seen from different business owners around the country, I mean, are they concerned about a secondary shutdown, or are they just kind of used to this and they're just kind of going with the grind now?
You know, let me just say, this breaks my heart that so many people are affected by this. I mean, even if you're not directly affected with the virus, you probably know someone who is, or you're struggling through figuring out the virtual environment. Regarding trade specifically, we haven't been able to travel this whole time, so I don't think we're going to see any significant changes. I think people are kind of, figuring it out and doing what they can in regard to international trade. So I think the real implication is on local economy and the impact, what we're able to do instead of more so on the international trade side. Those kind of changes, we've already absorbed them. Still trying to figure out how to, do it best. But I think that since we're not able to travel internationally, companies have really started to adapt and adapt well.
That is really good news. At least they've been able to adapt on that front. My big concern, though, is when it comes to some of the bigger companies, and especially like aviation, some of these others, where if we're in large factories and mass production facilities or distribution centers even, trying to ship out goods, and we can't be in close quarters, if those types of businesses are going to be affected trying to get product out either domestically or internationally.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's where the real, potential impact is. I'm hoping that, this past, 10 months, we've been able to figure out how to do it, work safely together. And I think companies really have done that. When we're out, we do meet with some companies in person, and we're seeing all kinds of precautions in place. I'm hoping that we'll be able to manage through this. And that if, the economy, shuts down or partially shuts down again, that it will be short-lived because we've, got a little smarter in how we deal with this, and, we'll get the impact that we're looking for. So hopefully we can curb this and get on with our normal lives again, right?
Oh, that would be nice. That would be really nice. And they say it could potentially be coming, but at the same time, they're talking about shutdowns and mask mandates and shutting down businesses all at the same time. So it's a little concerning. 30 seconds before we're going to let you go, Karyn Page with the Kansas Global Trade Services. But the outlook for the economy and for trade, at least from your perspective, seems relatively decent and consistent regardless of what happens with the presidential election or COVID.
I think so. I mean, I think people are going to just push on, right? That's what we do as humans. We just keep working at it and looking for the bright opportunity and and making the best of it. That's all we can ask of ourselves, and that's what we definitely should do.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's encouraging because, I mean, trade and the economy and what businesses do is kind of what our lifeline to keep us up and going. So you're right. We adapt and we fight through it, and that's the American way, baby. That's what we're all about. Karyn Page, Kansas Global Trade Services. Find them, kansasglobal.org. It's always good to talk to you, Karyn. I'm glad you guys are surviving, and we'll check in again here real soon.
Thanks, Andy. Have a good one.
You as well. Always a pleasure to talk to you there. Bottom of the hour news. We got lots more to get to when we come back. What's the socialism really going to look like in the nation if Joe Biden gets into the presidency? We'll talk about that and more when we come back right here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Wednesday, the pre-Friday, the post-to-post Monday. Rocking it, baby. That's what we do each and every day. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Thanks for hanging out, radio, TV, or live streaming, podcasting, no matter where you may be watching or listening. We appreciate you very much. So we have, let's see, Alaska got called today officially for President Trump. We have the Senate seat. Lisa Murkowski holds on to her Senate seat as well. We now have an official majority at 50 seats in the Senate with Republicans. We have the two runoff seats going on in Georgia. Then we have all the litigation, all the craziness all over the place. What a race it is. What an election it is. The media writing it off, saying don't even worry about the rest of it. It's all done. It's all over. President Joe Biden-elect is, and apparently created in its own office, too, the office of the president-elect. Well, then we have individuals like Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
I still don't even know if he can say that. I mean, we love Mike Pompeo. He used to be our congressman right here in Kansas before he became CIA director, then Secretary of State under President Donald Trump. So he's worked up the ladder, and we love what he does. I'm a big fan of his, but can he say that? It was fantastic. Let's get into what's trending again. What do you say?
What's trending today?
What's trending today is I'm really excited about our next guest, and it's I'm excited to chat with him because I didn't even realize it until I was going through the bio, and I'm super excited to talk to this guy. I guess I was the perfect age for this, but he was one of the actors in The Mighty Ducks. You remember that movie? The Mighty Ducks? Yeah. And I'm so excited to talk to this guy. He's also a cryptocurrency billionaire, and he was a third-party candidate for U.S. President of the United States, and I'm happy to have on the program Mr. Brock Pierce with us. Brock, how are you, my friend?
I am good. I'm grateful. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on the show. Now, if I remember correctly, in The Mighty Ducks, you were the young Coach Gordon Bombay, correct?
I was. I opened up the movie and missed the famous shot that sets the premise for the film. And I would like to state for the record that had it not been written in the script that way, I would have made that shot.
See, absolutely. I love it. No, that movie almost got me into hockey. I'm not a big hockey fan usually, but that movie was my childhood there, and I remember that very vividly, so I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you, my friend. Now, running for president, what got you to want to get into politics and run for political office? That's kind of a drastic change, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I do things in decades in my life, and I turned 40 this weekend. And so I've committed my 40s to doing what I can to serve the United States of America because I love this country and I love the American people, and I'm deeply concerned by the state of our nation. And so I announced my candidacy in this run on July 4th as an independent candidate, a very auspicious day for that. And this, the dry run, and my basic training has been completed, and I understand what one has to do to actually run for president as an independent candidate, which is no small feat. It's almost impossible. Just getting on the ballots alone, is a huge challenge. I think we broke the record in this election, getting on 16 ballots after a July 4th announcement. That's very late in the game, and doing that during COVID obviously is a whole nother sort of level of complicated. But I'm in this to serve. I've made that commitment to my country.
Well, it's really good, and you're right. It's a really cool day to announce your run for presidency, and I wanted to ask you about that. Now, I have to admit, I am being very conservative, very Republican myself, I've never voted third party, and I've really, in many aspects, advocated not voting third party because it's so difficult to try and actually gain momentum to actually break the two-party system. I'm not a fan of the two-party system, but unfortunately, it's there. Trying to overcome the two-party system, running as an independent. I mean, talk about the struggles that you ran into as you were feeling this process out to try and get on the ballots.
Yeah, so I can do this in short because I can talk to you for hours about what I've learned. But, for example, to run for president as a Democrat or a Republican, you need 25,000 petitions or signatures of people, choosing for you to run for president, supporting that. As an independent candidate, you need 700,000. So Republicans and Democrats, 25,000, independents, 700,000. And I think those metrics really illustrate how difficult it is. And by the way, every year the bar gets higher and higher. For example, I was endorsed by the Independence Party of New York. I was on the ballot in New York. I think I got 25,000 votes in New York, which is pretty substantial for someone in my position.
Yeah.
But to get on the ballot in New York historically, you needed 15,000 signatures.
Wow.
As New York was getting hit in April harder than anywhere in the world, COVID, I think New York did as a state. What do you think the New York governor or government did? You'd think that maybe they lower the bar, understanding that COVID is happening. We don't want people out there collecting signatures. Or maybe we try electronic signatures. We try doing something digital. And if not that, you would think they'd do nothing. But that's not what they did. They increased the number from 15,000 to 45,000 to ensure that no independent candidate could get on the ballot. And it doesn't stop there. They also passed a new rule that said as a third party, if you have ballot access and you nominate someone and they don't receive at least 130,000 votes, or 2% as the correct number of the general election votes, the party is disbanded forever. So the Libertarian Party didn't get enough votes. They are disbanded and no longer allowed to exist in New York. The Green Party, Independence Party. And so New York, we're obviously going to have to litigate. But our democracy, our democratic process, rather, is at risk. It's under threat. New York is basically outlawing any third-party choices going forward.
That's very strange, and it's very concerning, and I was not aware of something like that. I mean, I knew it was difficult to run as a third-party candidate, but for them to actually raise those standards to a point of almost impossibility even to get on the ballot, I'm sure they try and use an excuse of, well, you got to prove yourself that you actually have enough momentum rather than just a Joe Schmo actually trying to get on the ballot. But, I mean, you can do that at the same threshold that the Republican or Democrat parties could, at least you would think, in order to prove yourself as a legitimate candidate. But it seems like they're trying to squeeze the other parties out. It's kind of strange.
There's no question about it. The system is rigged to prevent independent candidates. And whether you agree, with voting for third-party candidates, agree with any of those ideologies, I think it's important as a country that as Americans we have choice.
Exactly.
Whether you choose to exercise that right, our ability to choose our government, to choose those things that govern over us, is such a wonderful privilege. It's such an incredible right that we have. And I think it's important that we have choice.
No, I completely agree. I mean, that's the beauty of this nation is you can vote for whoever you want to, you can write in whoever you want to, and you can make your voice heard however you want to, and that's the beauty of what we actually have the freedom to do. So we're talking with Brock Pierce, 2020 presidential candidate, also entrepreneur, humanitarian, and childhood actor, and one that I got to enjoy a lot as a child, which was really cool. Let's talk about your platform. I mean, running as an independent, is it difficult trying to establish as an independent candidate? Because I'm sure that they're asking, okay, are you more conservative? Are you more progressive? Where do you stand on a lot of these issues? And then trying to unite and rally kind of independent individuals thinking to try and win over some support.
Yeah, so my message resonated with people on the far left as well as the far right. I entered the ultimate arena, and I guess I'm not out of it yet, but I've come out of it unscathed, stronger and better for it. I'm very much like love and unity. I don't talk negatively. I've been on the forefront of innovation, creating things that people would say are impossible, meaning it hasn't been done before, over and over again. So I've brought a lot of fresh ideas to the table. I've talked about subject matter that most everybody else tends to ignore from a very value principled kind of where are we going, what do we stand for as a nation perspective. And the message resonated. I don't think I made any enemies through the process. Obviously, the message was not amplified or magnified to a point that everyone heard it. But that's why I'm here, to begin that process, to begin to share that message and to support this nation in every way I possibly can, because I think it's the 11th hour. I think we're doomed if we don't do something different. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. This country is divided. It's divided politically, economically, racially, and we also face existential threats environmentally, technologically, and technology is, one of those areas where I focused quite a bit as a technology entrepreneur and venture capitalist. There is no question that technology has changed all of our lives. It's changed our businesses. It's changing our institutions. And the technology and the change that it's having on the world is continuing to accelerate.
Yeah.
You take automation, robotics, artificial intelligence, the combination of those things, and driverless cars. We're going to be seeing tens of millions of jobs replaced by technology, not in the future. I don't mean science fiction. There's 3.5 million truck drivers in this country. There's driverless trucks on the road already. We've got driverless cars, Uber, Lyft, taxis. This is not happening in the distant future, and technology is amoral. It is neither good or bad. How we use it determines the impact it has on our lives, which is why I think it's so important that we have visionary leadership that understands technology and understands how to navigate the road ahead, because I believe if utilized correctly, technology will be a tool to enhance our lives, our businesses, and our institutions.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, we need to continue to evolve and be able to create new, innovative ways to make things more efficient and run better each and every day. We got about 30 seconds before we have to let you go, Brock Pierce, but the big question is, now that you've run this first time, does that pique your interest to run again in 4 years for another presidential run?
Absolutely. This was my basic training, and I'm going to be running all the way through, but also supporting candidates up and down the ticket, 2021, 2022. I'm here. If you want support, if you're looking to run for office, if you feel like I feel, if you see what I see, and you want to make a difference, that's what the future is going to happen to you, or it's going to happen with you. Let's get involved and let's co-create the future United States of America that we all wish to live in.
Making it happen. Brock Pierce, presidential candidate, entrepreneur, humanitarian, and actor. I'd love to talk to you again, my friend. I love the concept of the third-party movement and what's going on ideologically to be able to unite a lot of people. Let's do this again real soon. What do you say?
Yes, please. Perhaps this time next week.
Let's do it this time next week again. We'll make it happen. I appreciate it right there, Brock Pierce. Great interview, and let's continue this on. What do you say right here on The Voice of Reason? Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I got to admit, that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. Welcome back to the show. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Brock Pierce was our guest. So I had him scheduled for next Wednesday, and he called ready to go for the interview today. And I said, you know what? We were going to go a different direction, but we called an audible. We had him on the program today, and we're going to carry him over, and we're going to do it again next week as well. Same time, same place on a Wednesday. So, and I think it was awesome. So it was great to kind of go on the fly with that interview. And as I started looking at his bio and his details, realized that he was from the Mighty Ducks, which is just really super cool because that was like my movie as a kid. That was my ultimate movie. I'm not even a hockey guy, but that was like my ultimate movie. I really enjoyed that one as a kid growing up. So it was kind of neat to talk to him. And it's really fascinating to learn about the third-party candidates. Again, look, personally, I'm not an advocate for third-party candidates. I don't necessarily like third-party people taking 0.5%, 1% of the vote away. With how close this election is, how many third-party candidates could have swayed the election towards Trump or Biden in the presidential race? In local races, especially when it comes to you get 1,000 votes total in a whole district for a city council, and you have a third-party candidate kind of throwing things kind of wonky into the election. It's very funky. They never win, but yet they do have an impact, positive or negative. And usually people that are voting third-party are more in line with either a Republican or Democrat that ends up losing because they're trying to be more purist, quote unquote, as opposed to kind of compromising or finding the lesser of two evils, which again, that's not a good system to have. It's not a good system to have. That is a terrible system. The founding fathers did not want a third-party system or a two-party system because they don't want the two parties dominating. And then lo and behold, that's what we got. And it's unfortunate, but they warned us about that. They did not like two-party systems because of the corruption that could happen. Which really said, regardless of whether I support voting for a third-party candidate or not, the fact that the states are squeezing out third-party candidates, making it extremely difficult to get on the ballot, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. You, who's maybe driving down the road in your semi, or who's maybe at work working, or who's at home typing on the office, or who's at the end of the bar doing so, whatever, you should be able to have that choice if you wanted to say, I want to run for president of the United States. I want to run for the U.S. Senate. I want to run for a state legislative seat. I want to run for the governorship. I want to do that, and I don't want to do it within the party because the party has their candidate. They have their hierarchy. It's tough to get in. They got to put years of your time and energy into the party for them to look at you and be like, all right, I guess you're a good candidate. Let's go ahead and put you up now. It's very difficult. You shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to say, I want to run. I want to do my civic duty by running for office and trying to help out my community by running for office. And if you're not going to accept me as the party, then I'm going to do it on my own. And you should have the right. And it should be the same level playing field for anybody in any candidacy, in any party, including third parties. And if you want to run for a third party, then you can. And if there are 30 different third-party candidates on the ballot because they all got 25,000 signatures on there to be able to petition to get on the ballot, then good for them. And then it's up to us as the voters to decide, all right, who's going to be the best one. But if we did that, then the parties would lose their control and their power. Hence, why they don't allow it to happen. Why they have that higher threshold. Now, I get it to some degree. I mean, you don't want anybody just to be like, hey, I just feel like doing it on a whim and then messing up an electoral process. You should have that right. At the same time, you do need to kind of prove yourself that you have at least a following, or you're not going to be on the ballot to get 2 votes, which I guess if you want to do that too, then just to say I was on the ballot, you can. But maybe they're like, hey, you know what? We need to raise the threshold just a little bit in order to prove that you have at least some legitimacy to run on the ballot. At the same time, though, not that high. Not when you have to get 25,000 signatures for a Republican or a Democrat candidate, and then a third-party candidate's like, you got to get like 120,000 signatures. It's a little excessive. It's a little strange. So I'm glad that he ran third party. Again, I don't know that I would vote third party because to me that hurts my cause more than it helps my cause. But at the same time, kudos to those that do. And there's a lot of people that enjoy those. I mean, the Libertarian Party isn't going to go anywhere, in my personal opinion, because they're so anti-government and so non-conformists per se that you can't conform enough to even craft a party with a basic platform or an umbrella of what they believe in to actually unite people to vote for them. And that's what their struggle is. Conservatives have that problem too, but not nearly as much as libertarians. That's why Democrats do so well at the national level, is because they're all uniform. They just get their marching orders. They just get in line and do whatever they're told to do. Democrats love it. That's why they do so well at the national level. Republicans do better at the local levels, because at least we have a good grassroots campaign and we have some inner bickerings amongst ourselves, but it's not as bad as libertarians, because libertarians can't agree on anything. And there's such a wide platform, you don't even know what half the libertarians actually stand for. There's some really good ones and some really not so good ones. But kudos to them for even trying, and for anybody that runs for public office, kudos to them for their civic duty as well. Because it's important, and it means they're civically minded and they want to do something good for their communities. And I give them all the credit in the world for something like that. Podcast going up in a little bit. We got lots more to get to over the week. I will read the email tomorrow that's very disturbing, so you're not going to want to miss that. Until then, Be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great Wednesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.